Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another Princess Connect video. So today we are going to be talking about Kasumi. Kasumi's banner is literally right around the corner. She's about to be released tomorrow. So we're going to quickly do a deep dive into her skills. We're going to talk about her performance in arena and clan battle, and whether or not we should be pulling for her. First thing worth mentioning with Kasumi is in terms of arena, she is going to be an absolute monster. She is top tier, absolutely fantastic. One of the best characters we're going to get our hands on. She's going to be completely meta defining, and she's only going to get better throughout the year. Not only is her kit incredibly powerful, she actually has a specific use in arena that pretty much no other character can do. We'll talk about that a little bit later. In terms of clan battle, she's also going to be a very, very good unit, just not until way down the line. She has some good synergy with New Year Carol, who is basically the most busted character in the game. But because of that, she's not going to see any play until December, if not further. So there's a long wait for the clan battlers. However, for arena people, she's going to be incredibly powerful. The downside to this is the fact that if you really want to see her shine in either, you kind of have to choose where you want to use her. You can't really optimize her for both, unfortunately. Arena players, you would obviously want to take her to 5 stars and then pretty much rank her up all the way. Clan battlers, on the other hand, you would pretty much want to keep her at 3 stars, maybe 4 stars, and then just gear her appropriately. Sadly, there isn't really a kind of happy medium. You either optimize her for one and kind of gimp her in the other, and vice versa. So something you kind of have to consider. If you're an avid PvP player, just know that she's going to perform a little less in clan battle and the other way around. But that out of the way, let's talk about her skill set and why she's so powerful. Her first ability is inflicts magic damage to all enemies within range and inflicts bind. Bind is basically like a stun. So any characters within range of this ability is going to be stunned for 2.5 seconds. Now, 2.5 seconds is actually quite good. You can kind of compare this to Nozomi's stun in the sense that she stuns anybody within range for 2 seconds with her unique equipment. Without her unique equipment, it's 1.5 seconds. This is essentially a much larger range and stuns for slightly longer, 2.5 seconds. So very good ability. Her second ability inflicts magic damage to the frontmost enemy and inflicts Confuse. Confuse is basically like Charm, which we've seen from like other like event bosses and other characters. It basically means that whoever is affected by a charm turns around and starts randomly attacking teammates and will not use union bursts or skills, which is worth knowing because you can kind of also think of these as kind of like a silence, because as long as they're under the effect of Confuse or Charm, they won't use abilities, which kind of like opens up a little bit of a window. The main thing to know about this is it lasts for 7.5 seconds. 7.5 seconds on the frontmost enemy, which is pretty much always going to be a tank, is huge, because any character or any tank that has any kind of self-sustain, so for instance Miyako, who can heal and go invulnerable, Yui Peck, who also has like a damage absorb and a heal that she can do on herself, confusing them means they're not going to be casting those abilities. So it really does open up a window to burst these characters down. Keep in mind her attack pattern down here at the start of a fight. She literally opens with a 2.5 second stun, immediately followed by a 7.5 second charm on the frontmost character. So if this is a Miyako or a Yui Peck, that is 10 seconds right at the start of the fight to where that character is pretty much rendered useless. There's 10 seconds of them not using any abilities, which opens up a huge window to be able to burst them down. On top of that, she also has her Union Burst, which deploys a field around the third furthest enemy, which is typically always going to be like the middle character. It is a field that debuffs TP gain rate, magic defense, and action speed. Now, the TP gain rate and action speed isn't huge. It's 10% action speed and TP gain rate by 10. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it's nothing like crazy. The main benefit to this is the actual magic defense shred. It is a huge magic defense shred. If we were to compare this to someone like Mitsuki puts out a field that lasts for 8 seconds and debuffs, or currently at level 124, it debuffs by roughly about 150 physical defense. This is a field with a 300 radius that lasts for double the amount, 16 seconds, and at level 124 is going to be just shy of 300 magic defense. So it's double the duration and pretty much double the amount of defense shred, but for magic. It is an absurd field. It is incredibly powerful. This is where her strength lies in terms of like clan battle down the line, is it's just a huge defense shred. In terms of arena, it opens up a lot of possibilities and it kind of slows them down a little bit, which is always fantastic. She is going to be incredibly powerful in arena. The fact that she just opens up a window on the frontmost target, having an AoE skill bind effect or a stun. Everybody knows how annoying Sumigi is with her Union Burst and being able to stun the entire team. This is going to be on a skill. So as you start to decrease the distance between Kasumi and the enemy team, more characters are going to get hit by this stun. So absolutely fantastic. The specific use I talked about earlier actually involves this skill right here and the fact that she casts it right at the start of battle. Now, why this is so powerful is any character that is hit by a stun while they're in the middle of trying to cast an ability or about to cast an ability is basically interrupted. So they don't get hit by the stun while trying to cast something and then 2.5 seconds later they try to cast it again. They just get interrupted and then they move on with their attack pattern. Doing this at the start of battle is incredibly powerful because it can essentially slow down the enemy team so much and give you such an advantage that it's just such a powerful thing to have. So an example of this is to think of someone like Monica. Monica at the start of the fight grants a huge magic and physical attack buff along with 50% action speed right at the start of battle. It's the first thing she casts, and she only casts it once at the start of battle. If she is hit by a stun while trying to cast this, it basically interrupts her massive benefit, kind of rendering her useless and slows the enemy team down, because if a team's using Monica, they're trying to do something incredibly fast and she can pretty much negate the entire thing. It's very, very powerful. It works the exact same way with other characters who, for instance, are just trying to do something off the bat fast. Yukari is another example of this. Yukari's first ability that she uses at the start of battle is a TP boost. She can basically interrupt Yukari's TP boost, significantly slowing down the game plan of the enemy team. Because usually if the team's on defense and they have Yukari, she's going to be trying to TP boost Ilya or Halloween Shinobu or maybe even Halloween Miyako or something like that. Being able to interrupt the TP boost significantly slows them down and gives you an opportunity to jump in there. So not only can this be utilized in a way to slow them down, she's also going to be rendering the tank pretty much useless for 10 seconds. She's an insane disabler. Now, there is a caveat to this interrupt, is the fact that it doesn't always reach everybody, and this is kind of where things get a little bit complicated. It has an 800-yard range, which is actually quite good, but she is a backline character, and she's going to have an attack range of 730, meaning if you have her in a setup with like a normal setup where you have like your mid-line characters and your frontline characters like your tanks, she's only realistically going to hit the enemy tanks, the enemy frontline. She's not going to reach Yukari or Monica or anyone in the midline. So what you have to do is, if you're trying to interrupt key characters on the enemy team, you have to make sure that you set up your team to where you're going to be trying to close the gap between Kasumi and the enemy team. A good example of this is to pretty much put Kasumi in the second position on your team and have someone like Lima in front. What that does is at the start of the fight, there's no one in between the enemy team and Kasumi, meaning the enemy team is going to run up and try and close that gap, being intercepted a couple seconds by Lima, which basically means at the start of the fight, because the entire team moved forward, they are now in full range of Kasumi's 800 range, and she's going to completely interrupt the enemy team. Another example to think about is just trying to close that gap. What you can do is basically just remove your front line and only have midline characters in front of Kasumi. It's kind of hard to explain, but essentially what you're trying to do is, if you're trying to take advantage of this team-wide interrupt, you have to try and get the enemy team to move as close to Kasumi as possible. So you have to do some team management things and take out frontline characters or a couple midline characters and whatnot to make sure that they move up. I hope that I explained that enough. Unfortunately, my BlueStacks is being kind of weird right now, and I don't have anything I can really present as an example. If I do get her, though, I will definitely put something up in terms of like that use, that specific use, because it is incredibly powerful, even if I'm not giving it justice right now. But that pretty much wraps her up. She is an insane unit in Arena. She's going to be very good in Clan Battle later on. She has a very specific use in Arena if you need to utilize it. Outside of that, she's just fantastic by herself. Like I said, she's a backline unit. She's actually quite tanky for a backline unit. She can actually take a hit without going down. In terms of damage, though, her damage is actually quite weak, as you could imagine, just because of all the other stuff she does. Don't expect her to be dishing out a lot of damage. She pretty much is a disruptor / magic support. But yeah, that pretty much wraps her up. Now, should you pull for her is going to depend. Now, she is going to get an event and a node release just before summer. I think we're looking at a couple months down the line. So if you want to hold out and just farm her that way, that is definitely something you could do. If you are a clan battler, she is an easy pass right now. You should definitely skip her and then just farm her during the event and her nodes. You don't need her until the end of the year anyway. However, if you are an arena player, I would arguably say pick her up on release and invest in her, just because of what she's going to do to the meta, and just what she's going to bring is just going to be so good, and she's just going to get better. So arena players, I would 100% recommend pulling for her. Clan battle players, she's an absolute easy skip for now. And that pretty much ties it up. That's pretty much my thoughts on Kasumi. Good luck on your pulls if you are an arena player. I know I am definitely going to throw some pulls into her because I think her kit is just absolutely awesome, and I can't wait to kind of like mess around with it. I do like the idea of using her for clan battle as well, and I obviously still will, but I think her kit to me personally is way more appealing for arena, so that's kind of where I'm going to spend her. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything I missed, or if there's anything you want me to cover, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.